News just coming in of at least 2 dead and 15 injured in Austrian terror attack as the police hunt for multiple suspects after gun rampage and suicide bomb explosion in streets of Vienna on city's final night before lockdown. The total number of people that they're looking for is unclear, but seems to be a handful, or about half a dozen, and this is yet another example of, well, you want diversity and multiculturalism, well, this is what you get. And it's another lovely example of, well, guns don't kill people, gun control doesn't save people, but people with murderous ideologies will find a way to kill people. It really is as simple as that, and this is yet another example of it. And I know that this is getting repetitive, hammering the same drum over and over again, but until people change their voting patterns and decide, well, hang on, no, I've actually had enough of this, this is going to continue to happen. It is pretty poignant, of course, that this happened on the last night before Austria went into lockdown, so this will be the final night that people are out, and this is getting so and so reminiscent to V for Vendetta to say, yeah, there's a virus, let's lock people away then, because, hey, what's the point in freedom if you're going to die? You can't be taking that risk, so we'll decide it for you. And, now it seems like terror attacks are back on the rise again, in which case we'll pay you lip service, like Macron is doing, to say, yeah, well, it's very important that we have our values in our freedom of speech, and that will never be taken away, and we will never succumb to Islam. But then at the same time, saying, yeah, but we're also going to lock you guys down. So we're going to say it's for the virus, but of course at the same time, it's for the terror attacks. So without going into the whole conspiracy mindset of false flag attacks, that we're going to have a load of terror attacks across Europe just before this lockdown to remind you that terror is a threat. Then we're going to make sure nothing happens while you're locked down. And then when we lift it, you're going to get attacked again. And of course you're going to have a big wave of deaths from the virus, because it seems like COVID isn't enough to keep you at home. Therefore, maybe these terror attacks will be. And then you will willingly give up your freedom so that you'll be protected. That seems to be, if you're that way inclined, definitely the way that things are going. So, let's read. Several people are thought to have been killed in a shooting rampage across 6 different places in Vienna. Police are urging people to avoid public transport and the Vienna city centre as they deal with the incident. Lockdown anyway now, so who cares? There are reports of several attackers, with one accomplice said to have blown themselves up amid a rampage, also shouting Allahu Akbar through this, so no guesses as to why this was done. Interior Minister Karl Nehammer told Austrian broadcaster RF, "At the moment I can confirm we believe this is an apparent terror attack." Yeah, so where did it happen? Well, first was near a synagogue, reported at 8 p.m. local time. This was already closed, and so was the restaurant next to it. However, in the area, of course being a capital, that there were people outside enjoying their last night out before lockdown, and therefore they were then targeted. Hence, you've got at least 2 people killed and 15 being injured in 6 gun attacks and a reported suicide bomb explosion. Of course, the rabbis came out saying, well, we're very concerned because it was near a synagogue. And some were saying that they targeted the synagogue, but nobody was harmed at the synagogue. It was in the surrounding area. And in a place like Austria, in Vienna in particular, you're going to have quite a few synagogues, in which case there's going to be one in the vicinity. Yep, we all know the Muslims don't like Jews, but if they really wanted to go against Jews, then they would have gone when it was open and attacked them in there. Just like, of course, we've seen in Nice with the beheadings, going into a cathedral in order to decapitate someone. But that isn't what happened here. So, maybe not quite as likely that they were trying to target the synagogue. So, Interior Minister Karl Nehammer told Austrian broadcaster it appears to have been a terror attack. No way. He added that the perpetrators are on the loose and heavily armed and dangerous, and the army had been asked to guard key locations in the city to allow police officers to pursue the attackers. We've brought several special forces units together that are now searching for the presumed terrorists. I'm therefore not limiting it to an area of Vienna because these are mobile perpetrators. Nehammer said, urging the public to stay indoors until the all clear is given, which of course it won't be because of the lockdown. Chancellor Sebastian Kurz says our police will take decisive action against the perpetrators of this hideous terrorist attack. I'm glad that our police officers have already been able to eliminate a perpetrator. We will never allow ourselves to be intimidated by terrorism and will fight these attacks resolutely by all means. And at the same time, yes, stay indoors. One of the perpetrators was neutralised, but several perpetrators appear to still be on the loose. They seem to also, as far as we know, be very well equipped with automatic weapons, so they are very well prepared. It's definitely a terror attack. So here, he seems to be armed with a pistol. Highly unlikely that's an automatic weapon. And from the footage that I've seen, even with rifles, they still seem to be semi-automatic. Israeli TV say that they shows a gunman carrying an AK-47 and handgun and shooting a person in the street near the start of the attack in Vienna. In which case, on the back here would be the AK-47, which is fully automatic, but automatic weapons aren't actually that accurate, because as soon as the recoil comes, you're not really sure where you're firing. They're mainly used for suppressive fire instead of accuracy. They're not very good at taking out a lot of people, so they're unlikely to be used. But as we see, this is the rampage that it caused. People ducking and diving and running away, trying to find some sort of cover. The police controlling people, as they say, in order to find who is responsible. And yes, they are racially profiling, as they've got 2 civilians here who are not thought to be behind the attack. And then they've got random checks at borders into and out of the country, going into Czechia as well, that they are checking people. This is going to be racially profiled. Of course, that's basically what a random check means, and it's hardly a surprise, because until the voting patterns change, this is something that's going to have to happen. And then you're going to get the pushback, just like you did from France, to say, well, us 6 million Muslims are now scared to be in France, and maybe we shouldn't be here. Think, well, yeah, maybe that's the case. If you can't keep track of your own, then of course you are also going to be suspected that the moderate Muslim is very much a myth, that the underlying values are still Islamic instead of belonging to the country of which they are inhabiting. In which case, if they are not denouncing the fundamental Islamists, then they're tacitly encouraging them, in which case they do not associate with the values of the country that they're living in which case they're not welcome and should not feel welcome and should not even be there in the first place. And the indigenous folk, the voters, the native people of these countries have to realise that and think, okay, maybe we should change our voting patterns in order to push that out. And yes, of course, you do need a political movement, just like Farage did with UKIP in order to push Brexit, in order for that to be the case. And yeah, you might have more fringe elements. It could have been someone like the BNP, or now, of course, Patriotic Alternative, that are going to be bringing that to the fore. And the Tories are going to be too worried about splitting the vote that they're going to have to move further to the right. Otherwise, next election comes around. Of course, the Conservatives have not been right-wing at all in how they've been dealing with the COVID crisis or immigration or terrorism, any of that, in which case people are going to lose faith with them. The first-time Tory voters are going to think, well, that was a terrible mistake. We're going to go back over to Labour instead, because at least then they say that they want to increase taxes and spending and the deficit, and they'll follow through with that, as opposed to the Tories that are lying. And then the more conservative types that are more right-wing are going to be saying, well, hey, we actually value our country and want somebody who takes it seriously, in which case we're not going to support you either, and that's going to split the vote down the middle. So the Tories are going to be fucked in the next election. So I'm sure they're going to try and hold out before they have to call another election. But that's what we see now in Vienna. Very convenient timing. All these terror attacks just before a lockdown. Really gets the noggin jogging. But as always, let me know what you guys think down below. Always intrigued to hear what you guys have to say. And please do like, share, comment, subscribe. All the good stuff really does help get the message out. And I'm very grateful for all the support I've had so far. And as always, until next time, have a good one.